We have finally been blessed by Yoshi with a balanced patch for Deadlock, and in today's video, we're going to go over those changes. I'm not going to go over every single change in the patch notes like some AI robot just reading top to bottom. I'm going to actually go over what I think is valuable for you to know when playing Deadlock, or maybe when you're watching some pro tournaments for Deadlock. Some context that you need to know going into these patch notes is that we were in a very strong gun meta before this patch came out. So the gun item is very strong, gun character is very strong, Viscous Warden being played as gun, very dominant heroes. When we look at each and every single one of these changes, think about that within context of the change. Now, as you can see here, it's very symbolic, Yoshi's first change. Fire rate increases and reductions from most abilities and items are reduced globally by a small amount. So right then and there, first note in the patch notes, gun nerf, global gun nerf. And I think that it was necessary. Many people were upset about gun being strong. Whether it was actually strong or not, we could have a debate, but Yoshi believes in himself, and as a result, it was nerfed. So this change and other changes that you'll see will lead us more away from the gun meta that we had previously. This is one of the only gun items that were buffed in this patch, and Intensifying Magazine historically has always been a very strong item. It was a much different item in the 4-lane system, but now with the 3-lane system, it kind of got nerfed a little bit into 1600 weird item. So I think that this right here will be the predominantly built gun item moving forward. I think characters like Seven will really like this item. I think characters like Warden will really like this item. It was already being built on Warden with the Cultist Sacrifice nerf because Warden doesn't build the Cultist Sacrifice for 3200 anymore. Now you can go Intensifying 1600, Active Reload 1600, 3200, and then you can go your HV/Headshot Booster 800 and your Monster Rounds 800, getting you to that 4.8k investment. So you're going to see this item in Deadlock Night Shift built a lot more with time. If not this week, then next week, and if not that next week, the week after. But eventually you will see this item being built. So the two biggest sinners of the last patch, Hollow Point and Glass Cannon, received some nerfs. I don't think that these items are nerfed to be at a point to which they're unbuildable. To be honest, they're probably still going to be built just fine, like how they were in the past. Maybe a little less now, but I think that this is definitely good. You know, gun nerf the gun items. Lucky Shot and Capacitor were also nerfed. So yeah, these are just nerfed to like kill the gun meta. A clear complaint of the community. Yoshi delivers. It's good vibes. It's fun. I think this is probably one of the more interesting changes of the patch. I think this is because heal right was very strong. Not a lot of people built extra regen, and as a result, Valve wants more people to build extra regen. I think they really need to figure out the identity between these two items because I feel like heal right, it will still be the better item in this patch than extra regen, primarily because of Sinner Sacrifices and the amount of sustain that you get and the heal creep. So I don't know what Valve needs to do to make this item more tantalizing, but I think that this is a good step in the right direction, to be honest, for extra regen. But clearly, heal right was so strong, and it still is very strong. This is a great change for this item. This item was never built because you could just build Heal Nova or build Rescue Beam or build Heal Right, and you would get as much, if not more, healing than this item. So I think now it providing stamina, now it providing Spirit Resist, gives more value to this item. Now, is this item broken? Should you just build it every game? No, you should never do that when a patch comes out. Oh, it's buffed, I'm gonna build it. Don't do that. Don't be AI, okay? But the thing about this item is it's gonna be a very good item if maybe there's like stamina reduction characters on the enemy team, right? Now that you can get 3 stamina from this item. I mean, that in itself is such a cool and unique way to like redesign this item. I think that Valve really cooked up well with this change, and I'm looking forward to see how people build the Resto Locket in the future. This is a bit of an L change from Valve for this patch. Spirit Resilience was already very strong. They did not need to buff this to any extent. And Bold Resilience has also been very strong. The reason people don't build it is because metal skin exists. So keep an eye on these two items. I think that they aren't at the point in which people are just going to build them forever, like permanently every game you have both these resists, but just keep an eye on them. I think that they have been good for a very long time, and buffing an item that has been good for a very long time will lead to the item being eventually broken. So yeah, just keep an eye on them. So let's talk about the big change of the patch. This is insane. It will have a lot of implications with the meta moving forward for Deadlock. So they completely like just changed how this item works now. Debuff Reducer does not build into Debuff Remover anymore. It is actually not even Debuff Remover anymore. The item's gone. You have Debuff Reducer, Spellbreaker, Unstoppable, and Dispel Magic. So first, Debuff Reducer doesn't give health anymore, which is actually insane. This item was being built so much because the stats that you would get from the item, you know, the bonus health, was very helpful. It was like a very good item. But now that it provides no health at all, this is very, very, very concerning for the viability of building Debuff Reducer, right? That's the first thing. Now, the next thing is Debuff Remover, or Dispel Magic. Doesn't give health. It doesn't give as much move speed, which is not that important. But the main thing is that it doesn't build in from anything. It doesn't build from Debuff Reducer, and it doesn't give debuff reduction on itself. Look at the item here. It only gives Spirit Resist, and it will remove a debuff. So I don't know how to feel about these two items specifically. I think that it's going to be very interesting. This is a significant nerf to characters like Mina, significant buff to characters like Infernus Pocket, because now building debuff resist is more expensive in a sense and more exclusive in a way, kind of. Not through the sense of like it being more money expensive, but you're not getting as much from building debuff resist than you were in the past. You're not getting like free health. Now the change that I do like, W change. I really like Debuff Reducer being able to build into Spellbreaker. Big fan. W change, actual like cook from the Yoshi man. I'm a big fan of this. So Spellbreaker, I think, will be built a lot more. I think that this will probably be the item you build for Pocket instead of, you know, just Debuff Remover. Not saying they could Debuff Remove Affliction, but, you know, Debuff Remover is such a standard item you could just build on any character. But yeah, Spellbreaker now will be built way, way, way more because of this. And I'm glad. Spellbreaker was a very weird item with how expensive it'd be, because why not just buy Spirit Resilience, right? But now this actually gives value to the Spellbreaker item. So Yoshi did the thing, you know, in Deadlock where you kind of get bored and you just run down a walker and you die under the walker and the enemy goes mid and you lose the game. That's kind of what he did with Inhibitor here. So he just randomly decided to buff Inhibitor to be a Thanos God item, that it already was a Thanos God item. And I'm gonna tell you this item is gonna get nerfed in the future. This item will be broken in the future. It may not be this week, it may not be next week, but at some point in the future, this item is going to be built a lot. So if you want to get early access to abusing one of the most broken items in the game, try to figure out builds in which, you know, your M1 hero carry can build an inhibitor where it's actually viable, not a junk build. Otherwise, you can wait until the builds come out. But just early access for you guys, this item is broken busted. I'm not going to go into depth onto why, but you can kind of probably already guess from the stats this item gives, the fact that it's a green, and the passive of this item and like what it actually does. This item is a must build on Geist, and it was built on Yamato in the past. So I would recommend for you just keep an eye on those characters, maybe see if their win rate jumps on average, because those characters inherently should get a buff from this item getting buffed. Base health is one of like the best stats that you can get in this game. So maybe Yamato mains might reintroduce this into their builds. Just keep an eye and maybe try to theorize what other heroes could use Radiant Regen, well, like Yamato and Geist. A lot of people have been saying that Wraith and Mirage are so strong now because QSR is buffed and these heroes always build QSR. Now, they are stronger, but the pawn patch thinking process is, oh, they're so OP, they're so Thanos, first pick, first ban. That's not how it works. Thinking like that is very bad, and in my opinion, you will not be a good player if after every buff and nerf, you think that it's immediately broken or unplayable, right? So this definitely puts the heroes in a better spot, but I don't think it makes them Thanos. Let's see if other changes down the line in the patch, you know, let's say it's this and, you know, maybe Wraith's cards got buffed or something else. Then if multiple things are buffed for that hero, then we can kind of consider, you know, maybe the hero is actually pretty strong this patch. Lots of W's in this patch because I think that this was a W as well. This item wasn't being built that much, and a lot of people would say that this item is very weak. Extra charge is the only good item that builds into this item that you ever want to build. So I think reducing the cooldown of charge abilities by 14% when you build this item is a very cool addition to rapid recharge, just like how you can now get max 3 stamina from Resto Locket. So another W change from Yoshi, perfect way to like redesign the item, perfect direction for it, beautiful. I mean, once again, another W. I think that this is a great way to buff Mystic Reverb by making the ability you imbue even stronger. So now you get 30 Spirit Lifesteal for the damage that the Reverb deals. And you know, you're gonna see a lot of Power Slash, Great Talent Arrow, good change. good quality of life. Not many characters use Reverb, so it is kind of just a buff for Yamato and Grey Talon. And keep in mind, Yamato has gotten a few buffs as this patch has been going. You know, we saw with the Radient Regen, we see with the Mystic Reverb here, she's been stacking up the buffs a little bit. This is like a similar change to the Reverb. I think that giving the damage per second that this item deals scaling is like, it should have been something that the item has had since the beginning of time. It's a 6,400 soul item. Like, why does it not have spirit scaling on the burn? So good change. Good buff to spirit characters, Pocket, Yamato, Grey Talon, right? Great change. The problem with Curse and why it got nerfed, and don't be alarmed, okay? Don't be alarmed. It looks like a dead item. It looks completely screwed, but I promise it isn't. This change was made because people like Warden, Viscous, M1 carries were building Curse. And it's just everyone cursing everyone. So Valve had to kind of step in and be like, look, you guys can't all build this item. Let's kind of limit who can and can't build this item by adding a damage penalty. Now, characters like Warden are going to feel really bad building Curse Relic because Warden's like a carry hero. Why would you build a damage penalty item on a carry hero? Can you still build a damage penalty item on Warden late game? Sure, you can. But will it be built as early as it was? No. So characters that want to get Curse as a utility, which it will still be a very strong item for, I can tell you anecdotally, Curse is probably one of the strongest items in the game, even with this change, because it just completely destroys any hero. Their kit removes all the buffs. It's just a Thanos item. So will it still be built? Yes. Will it be built on M1 carries? No. And that's exactly the direction that Yoshi was trying to go for with this change, which I'm a big fan of. W change, great direction for Curse. This is a long needed change. Beautiful. A few things were changed about Abrams, but the one thing that I wanted to highlight is the fall off gun range change on his weapon. So I think this is long needed. I'm sick and tired of getting killed by Abrams across the whole entire lane. It's a W change. I think that it really makes Abrams like a close quarters character. I think this change needs to be done with a lot more different characters in Deadlock. Like, there needs to be real definition with range now in the game, with the base being as large as it is. So I think Valve should revisit all of the fall off ranges for each character's gun in the game. Bomb Bebop got reworked. This is pretty important to know so that you don't get killed by Bomb Bebop. When you debuff remove it, it drops the bomb on the ground. It doesn't remove the bomb anymore. I think that this is a great change because there was this whole entire gimmick that you can see in the second note here where the Bebop bomb can no longer be self-cast. There was this whole entire gimmick in mind game you had to do where if the enemy had the debuff remover, you had to cast it on yourself, and as a result, you had to like run at them because you don't want them to debuff remove the bomb. Now they kind of just remove the whole entire process, which is really good. It's good QOL. It's a W change. So the Thanos Chimera Demon King of Deadlock finally got nerfed a little bit. I don't know if he's still going to be very strong or if he's just going to be unplayable. I think that, you know, there's a lot of nerfs here to Billy. It's not just one change. I think that this is a step in the right direction, but I would not be surprised if he still is Demon King Thanos strong, as you can see here with this image. And this is kind of me when he's picked on the enemy team. So I think that this change is really interesting. I was having a discussion with my team. I was like, yo, how has no one built max ice path for Kelvin? Guys, you get 90 max spear power if you can fully get your ice path out. There's no way that this is not broken to some extent. So I don't know like what they're doing like with buffing this, or like no one even does this, like builds this thing. Like I don't remember a single time I've seen max ice path. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to actually try this out if you're down just with the patch. Like see if you can make some crazy thing work with it, because it would be really cool to see a max like ice path build where you just build it really early, get a bunch of movement speed, fully flesh out your path, and like throw like one shot frost nades or something like that. I don't know, but please give this a try. try to experiment something cool with the builds and let me know how it goes. So we already seen Mina nerfs with the debuff remover and reducer and the spell magic whatever rework, right? That was a Mina nerf right there in itself. Now Mina on top of that also got nerfed. You know, her move speed got reduced, her stamina cooldown got increased, her love bites down takes a little less stamina, her scaling got nerfed, right? It's good. It's a good change. Will Mina still be broken? I honestly don't know, but I think she still will be very broken. So is Mina dead? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. So just keep an eye on this in your matchmaking games. Keep an eye on Night Shift as well, and where top teams better, or even scrims if you guys watch those. Now, we've had a lot of W's, and as I was recording this, I prepared the whiteboard, and I forgot about the change as I was recording, and this is probably one of the worst changes I've ever seen like Yoshi make. I don't know if he has like some kind of weird design philosophy with Viscous, but the value in Viscous in competitive play was his cube. Okay, so now you basically just removed the value of the cube. You draft Viscous against Pocket. Now when Pocket is drafted, you don't draft Viscous. So I'm thinking they took Viscous's arms, his gun build, they took his legs, his cube build. What is he supposed to do now? Like, I don't know what they're doing with Viscous, and I'm honestly pretty upset about this change. I don't like Viscous. I don't really have a stake in Viscous. I just really hate this change because they kind of killed the creativity that you could do with Viscous in your drafts. Oh, we have Viscous, we can counter Affliction. Oh, we have Viscous, we can counter, like REM sleep, right? Now you can't do that. Now you have to buy Divine Barrier. So was it a needed change? I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't really like this change. So you're probably a little confused with me saying, well, Viscous gun is killed. Well, it's not only the gun nerfs that killed Gun Viscous, but Valve nerfed both Gun Warden and Gun Viscous. Now, if we compare the numbers, Valve's fine with the Gun Warden, but Valve is not okay with Gun Viscous, clearly. They nerfed Gun Warden's bullet damage growth by 6.4%. They nerfed Viscous's bullet damage growth per boon by 28%. So he has no cube, he has no gun. Now he's just a booger rolling around the streets of the Cursed Apple or New York or whatever you want to call it. So that's why like the cube change upset me so much. Like, what is this character even supposed to do now? Is he a spirit nuker? Oh, cool. Spirit nuker Viscous. Oh, Max Splatter and I do a lineup to like bounce on the enemy's head like 3 times. Like, so yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the video. What you should be keeping in mind for this patch mainly is maybe a spirit meta is upon us. Gun got nerfed across the board. Viscous is now armless and legless. Inhibitor is the God King demon item that is going to be taking over the game pretty soon. And Mystic Reverb is a pretty cool item now. Yamato might be decently strong given that. So I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.